All right, welcome. So, in our last episode, our marketing expert, Elizabeth Pampalone, said that podcasts are an incredible way and becoming even more incredible way of creating a network and networking with other folks, and also a great way to market your business. So, how do you find podcasts to be a guest on? Well, welcome to Totally Clutch. This is the Clutch Businesses podcast and vlog, and I'm Angie Beeman, your host. So the first thing to consider when you are looking to be a podcast guest is to get all of your equipment ready, to get yourself ready. So the first thing that you'll need is a good mic. And I think a lot of people can get away with AirPods or the equivalent of AirPods. For me, my voice is so soft that I think the first 20 episodes of Totally Clutch, I had a different setup every single time because I couldn't find something that worked for me. So I finally, at the end of the year, at the end of 2020, splurged and got a really amazing microphone. And I'm mostly pleased with it. I think it's really great, but I don't think that you need to do that immediately. I think most people can get away with, like I said, AirPods or the equivalent of AirPods. And then, if it's something that you're getting a lot of traction from, if you're finding a lot of business, and it's really beneficial for you, then you can definitely start to invest in some nicer equipment, but no need to right away. Okay, then the second thing that you'll need is to craft your elevator pitch. Hopefully you've already got that, and a CTA, or a call to action. So I guess it's probably helpful to think about this like being a guest on Jimmy Fallon. So a lot of the stars are there to promote either an upcoming movie or an upcoming album or some event that they're working on. And so you want to take this as an opportunity to do the same exact thing. And most hosts are going to give you an opportunity either at the beginning, the end, or somewhere in between to tell folks how to find you, how to work with you. And I think that if you have a free opt-in, this is an incredible way so I would share that with their audience, because it's an incredible way for you to get their audience added to your mailing list for free. So, and it's really compelling. It'll make people interested and intrigued, just like it does on your website, right? Okay, so then you've got all of that figured out, all that set to go. Where do you find podcasts to be a guest on? So the first place that I would look is within your immediate circle. So reach out to your network and see if anybody in it has a podcast that you could be a guest on. And the reason that I recommend this is because you already know, if they're in your network, if you've worked with them in the past, you already know that you're a good fit for their audience. So their audience is going to get something meaningful from you, right? And that will be beneficial to the audience, but also to the host. So I would start there. And then another really great place to look is Facebook groups. So I found a lot of guests for this show actually through Facebook groups, and there's a couple that I use and have had really good luck with. So let's see, podcast guest collaboration is a really great one. And then Women in Podcasting is another good one. So those are obviously really focused on podcasting. But I also recommend throwing together a post in some of the groups that you're already a part of and say that you're looking to be a guest. Talk about what topic you can speak on and why they would want you as a guest, and just see what comes out of that. Because again, that's already a network that you've developed and nurtured. So, it should be pretty fruitful. There are also some databases. Because of the growing popularity of this, a lot of people have put together databases of podcast hosts or podcasts, and they're usually separated by category. So you can do a search for the topics that you want to speak about and find, quite a few options. So Podcast Guest Collaboration, the Facebook group that I mentioned before, they actually have a paid database that I've used and use regularly. So you can do that, but also a quick Google search of, podcast host databases will, you'll find a ton of free options too. So you can, play around or look around in there and see if you find anything. And then let's see. Oh, also shows that you are listening to. I mean, if you're interested and you think that you could be a really great guest, you've got a topic that everybody would be interested in, by all means, reach out. I mean, why not? If you think even that you would be a great guest for Totally Clutch, if you've got something that this audience would really, really enjoy, by all means, please reach out. You can go to clutchbusinesses.com/podcast guest and tell me what kind of lady business you want to talk about. Okay, and then once you've found some options, some podcasts that you would be a good fit for, then you want to pitch just like you would any client, the podcast host or their contact. And you, again, include how you know them. It's always, flattery is always nice. So if you've been following them for a while, or if you listen to one of their episodes, make sure that you let them know that. And then also include what topics you can speak about. If you've got one, great, focus on that. If you've got a handful, awesome. And then why you would be a good fit. So, what does it bring to their audience? Because that's really what they want. So most podcast hosts are not just looking for anybody. They want to make sure that that you're going to bring value to the audience that they have spent years carefully crafting. So let them know, and I'm sure that they will absolutely agree with what you say. Now, if this is something that you are really interested in pursuing, but you just don't have the time to do it, there are a growing number of people that you can contract to help you by either just putting together a list of potential podcasts to reach out to, which could save you a ton of time, or they could create the list and reach out on your behalf. You could also find somebody that could handle it from start to finish. So, they could contact people for you, make all of the arrangements, and you just show up kind of like an agent. So, there is, those are definitely helpful options. And again, they're becoming more and more prevalent. And then let's see, what else? Okay, now the one thing that I will say is, a couple of other things to consider is when you're making your pitch, there are some templates online that you can follow and use. And, as you go on, it'll get easier. It'll become more natural and you can tweak it. So, and I say that both for reaching out to podcast hosts, but also being a guest. So the first couple of times are probably, not going to go as well as you want them to, but, after one or two, you'll be a total pro and it'll go much smoother. So just, know that it'll come with time. And as it comes with time, you will be able to be a little bit more choosy with the podcasts that you want to be on. So you can start to pay attention to their audience numbers. So do they have an audience of 50 or do they have an audience of 20,000? Those are things that, will be important. And you can find people that really specifically speak to your ideal customer. So again, you might be a little bit more forgiving about that at first, and start to hone that a bit more after you've got a few under your belt. So let's see, I think that'll get you started. That'll get you, a few guest appearances, and you should feel pretty confident after that. And like I said, it'll, you'll start to play around with things. You'll figure out what works and what doesn't. So I guess with that, thank you so much for being here today, for listening, and I can't wait to hear you on the airways.